read and have fun. No time to wait. Open up your mind with markers, pencils, or paints. Hear what they have made. Savannah, Russell, and Jade with a podcast just for you. It's time for Fan Brush. Artists with a lot to say. It's Fan Brush. Listen, it'll make your day.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fantastic.
Hi, Savannah. I like your chair.
Thanks. That's my new one. It's got bunny ears.
It looks super comfy.
It is.
So it got that lumbar support.
It does. It's got this little pillow thing,
Oh, excellent.
so I can put it, and it's got this little headrest thing. Okay, so this works, but this cord is way too short. This is my limit.
Oh no.
Oh, hold on. I'm gonna see if I can use my other headphones. I'm sorry.
You're fired.
Shut up! I heard that. Oh God, I can hear you.
Oh, yay. I like how your headphones match your chair. You have six ears.
Yes.
I was about to say 6 pairs, and I was just like, nope. 3 pairs makes 6.
Okay. So sorry, we just set up a new computer thing. So I'm having to reset everything.
Oh man.
So yeah, I'm gonna mess up my camera real quick, but I want you guys to see. This is my new
All the new stuff?
Yeah. This is my
Wow.
That is so freaking dope.
new, and then this is my new computer.
Wow.
Ooh, look at those lights.
Yeah, so I got sick of remember how I've been complaining? I've been complaining because I've been
About everything.
yeah, mostly,
Hi,
but
Bryce. I like your
I
mustache.
can't hear you.
he says he
okay.
likes your mustache, and they also say hi.
All
Hi,
right,
Bryce.
have fun, guys.
This
Get
week's
out!
special guest is Bryce. Bye.
Yeah, so I'd been complaining that I was having to work in my studio or whatever. I'm trying to call it my studio. And so finally I was like, you know what? We've been meaning to upgrade the computer for a while, so I'm just gonna buy whole new bits and build a second computer. So I built all the old shits on another computer. I bought the cheapest case I could find, and now we have a workstation in the kitchen.
Ooh.
Or when I work. So now this is just creative space.
Yay.
I am so happy.
That's awesome.
I'm sorry, I just ran around grabbing everything and printing out my stuff. I'm out of breath. What the hell? You need to exercise more.
Exercise is good.
Yeah, it is.
I've had a lot of exercise this week at work. We're getting ready for some people to come in Monday that want to tour the studio, and we still have a lot of stuff that we're just oh yeah, on this wall we'll put some sample boards up there. So we need to repaint it and put some slats on there so that way we can hang the boards and stuff. At first it was just kind of yeah, we'll do that. We'll get to it whenever we have time. And then this week, some people from Dallas that's a showroom that holds our tile. We're yeah, we're going to come visit Monday. And all of a sudden it was just get this stuff done. Clean the studio now.
I hate that. Unexpected visitors when you have to clean everything up and dress up and whatever.
We have company coming over.
Right?
At my job, they let me leave early on Friday because we're starting a bunch of construction in our building or whatever. Yeah, we kicked all of the tenants out. So now we own the building anyway. We were just renting it to other tenants. Well, we gave them 30 days notice, so everybody's gone now.
Nice.
So now we have access to the whole building. And apparently they're building a wall right where my desk is. So I was the first person that had to move out of the whole company.
Oh God.
And they came to my desk at 3:30 yesterday and we're just okay, we're taking your desk and your computer. It won't be ready until Monday.
Oh, okay.
And I was just like, can y'all not wait until 4? Like, I have shit I have to do. Like, I can't, like,
I'm in the middle of a report. Go fuck yourself.
Well,
I would
no,
have been like, guess I'm done for the day. See you guys later.
well,
Goodbye.
yeah, I went to my boss and I was just like, what do you want me to do? Like, I mean, I can go work from home or whatever, but it hasn't been letting me log in, so I don't know what to do. And she was just like, just go home.
Okay.
I was like, okay.
Bye.
Right, I walked out of there at 3:45 like, bye, suckers.
Nice. How's everybody's week been?
Mm.
Good. Cool. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's so
Well,
tough
I was
question.
already behind on Darktober, so I had to catch all that up today. Whether or not
So
I finish it is up for debate.
I didn't realize it was October 1st somehow. Like, you know how like you're at work and you're having to date everything and everything says October 1st and you're just like, oh yeah, whatever. Didn't realize it till after work at like, when did I text you guys? That's when I realized it.
Same.
I was like,
it
oh,
was sometime
shit.
in the evening, and you sent us the little pictures that you had done. You're just like, it's October. Do
Yeah.
your shit.
I was like, you
I
want to
was
do
like,
this? Because I'm still going to do this. I'm going to do this. Okay. And I had to sit down and I was like, this week's been so hectic. I mean, that I was like, whatever, I'm just going to sketch something real quick because I don't want to like not do this because I've been talking about it, especially like on the podcast. We've been talking about it for how many episodes where I'm like, oh, you know, like Inktober, October, whatever. I'm going to do that. And like, I know we decided to go with something besides the Inktober prompts or whatever, but I kind of like this better because it's the spooky theme is like making me happy right now. Like,
Yeah.
I'm happy.
Spooky.
Yeah.
Just gonna
What were
say
you
it's gonna
say?
keep me motivated to like
Yeah.
keep going because I'm just like, ooh, spooky. Because I'm super into Halloween right now. Because
Right now? Just right now?
no, just like especially this year for some reason. Like I'm always kind of into Halloween. I'm like, woohoo, Halloween. But like this year, I was just like, I was ready. Like at the end of August, I was like, is it Halloween now? Can I put my decorations out? Like I've been talking about it. I've been shopping. I've been like watching Halloween movies. We watched Sleepy Hollow last night, which I hadn't seen since like it came out. And I'm just like, Johnny Depp looks so young. And I was like,
I
is
know.
that Christopher Walken? I was like, is that Christina Ricci? I was like, man, I forgot this movie. Like, I don't remember anything about it, apparently.
Mm.
I was so excited. Like, I didn't realize it was October 1st until I got home from work, just like you. And I start every October on October 1st. I watch the same movie. And when I got home, I watched Pumpkinhead because that's the first movie I watch of every Halloween. Like, because it's one of my favorite movies. So, like, that was the first, like, every October 1st, Pumpkinhead, first movie I watch. And I think tonight I'm going to watch Terrifier.
Don't know that one, but have fun.
See, we've watched Beetlejuice and Sleepy Hollow. I'm holding off on Hocus Pocus. Oh, and I guess Velvet Buzzsaw.
One of my, whenever I got home from work today, because I went in for a few hours just to like do some cleanup stuff, and last minute just like doot. There was a box on the porch and it had my name on it. I was just like, what's this? And I opened it up and my friend had crocheted me a Haro robot from Gundam, which is like this like little sphere dude with like little floppy ear bits and stuff. And it's really well made. And before I came over here, like I called her up and I was just like, hey girl, man, this is super cool. It's really well done. Thank you so much. And she's just like, it's my thank you for like talking to me and being my muse and being an awesome friend. Because we talk about writing and everything, what I'm doing with the book, what she's doing with her book, and just like different exercises and things that help us stay in the creative moment of writing and practicing. And so she sent me that, and I like whenever I opened the box, I had a knife, and I was like opening it, still had the knife in my hand, and reached in and grabbed it. I was like, "Who sent me a crocheted ball?" And I lifted up, and I see the face, and I was like, "It's a Haro!" And I threw the knife.
Oh my God, Russell!
I was so excited because we both really love Gundam and stuff, and it's just like this like little cute robot from Gundam, and I was just like, yeah!
I have an anime thing to say.
Okay.
Since we're on the subject, kind
Okay.
of organically. So, I've been watching Food Wars. Have you guys seen it at all?
Oh my God. I watched the first 2 episodes, and something about it is just like, I really like food, and I kind of dig the direction they're going with, but man, this is really sexual eating food.
Okay. I see where you're going with this because I thought the same thing when I started watching it, but I kind of just like in my head, I was just like, all right, so we're using a visual medium to try to explain how delicious this food is. And so they're basically just saying it literally knocks your socks off along with all the rest of your clothes when you eat something delicious, I guess. Right?
This omelet frees my tits.
That's basically what the show does. It does it like every episode, but you get used to it, I guess. But okay, the reason I bring it up though, there is a point to this. The reason I bring it up is because like we're on the 4th season right now, and like
damn girl.
As it's progressing or whatever, I mean we've been watching it for a while, it's not like we just started.
Okay.
As it's progressing, I just like looked at Bryce one night and I go, dude, and he's like, what? I was like, this is like a show that every creative person should watch. And let me tell you why. So one of the themes throughout the whole show, one of like the through lines in it is people, what do I want to say? They like refine their skills and they like increase their skills by like failing. Like it's the theme of the show. There's themes of like, I mean, that's the whole thing. They're all competing against each other, right? So every time they like lose in a match, they take something that they learned in that match from losing and they apply it to their next cooking. So like that's the theme of the show. And then the other theme of the show is like their skills are like
free?
Titties being free. Free the titties.
Free the titties.
And their skills is like an amalgamation of all of their experiences. So all of the things they've learned from their cooking friends, because everybody has like a specialized thing that they do, but they all like learn from each other and like build their skill set based off of all of their friends' skill set. So like it's got a really cool message throughout the show for like artists and creatives and stuff. Like if you keep watching it. So
Speaking of artists and creatives, welcome to the Fan Brush Podcast.
Oh yeah.
Hello. Hi, my name is Savannah and I like art.
Hi, my name is Jade. I like art.
My name is Russell and I also like art.
Yay, we did it.
Yay. So what are we talking about today?
Okay, so Jade, we have a surprise for you.
Oh boy.
So
if you look out your window, yes, there is a pony, but it's not just a pony, it's a nightmare.
Oh, good.
It's a nightmare pony.
A Paco pony.
Yes, it's an apocalypse pony, and it's currently terrorizing your neighbors. You need to go get it before you're arrested.
Burninating the peasants.
So Russell and I were like kind of going back and forth on the idea or whatever, and I was like, oh, we should just like text Jade to like tell her what we're doing this weekend, because it was kind of another research episode, and I was like, I don't think she's gonna want to research. But then I was like, you know what? We should just surprise her. I was like, I think she would be really jazzed if we just surprised her. So
yeah.
Okay.
So
I like your style right now. You're just like, yeah.
Now I'm trying to decide, should we tell you the theme or should we just like tell our stories?
Just tell me the theme.
She's like freaking out. She's like, I want to know. So
what's in the box? What's in the damn box?
What's in the box?
So continuing with the October like theme of spooky and like things like that, we're doing art murder.
Yay! Even Layla's excited. She just stood up and started stretching.
Yay!
All right.
Look at her. She's so excited. Look at her. She's so excited.
He was excited for murder. Layla's excited for murder.
Are you excited for murder? Are you excited? Yeah.
Wow, look at that tail go. Oh my gosh.
Oh my god. That's adorable.
Okay. Who wants to go first?
You went first last time.
That's true.
I could go first.
You could go first.
I could go first. I could.
Jake can pick
tonight. God.
Let's do, how about in the grand old tradition of the podcast, Russell goes first.
Okay, I will go first. So I am covering Michelangelo Merisi de Caravaggio.
Excellent. Have no idea who that is.
So like, let's kind of like generalize kind of like him and his importance in the art world. And then we'll get into this bad boys fuckery, because what the fuck? Like when like I kind of came across him, I was just like, oh dude, this guy's fucked up. I have to contact Savannah immediately to make sure that she's not also going to do Caravaggio. And so like later in the day, like I listened to a couple different podcasts about it and like looked online, just kind of like check his rap sheet and everything. And I was just like, yes, this dude's perfect because it's got art, it's got intrigue, it's got sex work, it's got petty art battles, and murder. So I called up Savannah. I was just like, I have my dude, I have my thing, I have my story. What are you going to do? She's like, I've got 2 different ones because anytime I research, there's this one name that comes up. And I was like, son of a bitch. And she said Caravaggio. And I was like, no. She's like, well, I haven't researched anything or looked into it. So you're good. Hooray. He is considered the grandfather of the Baroque movement because of his style of what?
There's a joke in Beauty and the Beast and it made me laugh inside my head where Cogsworth's like, if it's not Baroque, don't fix it.
There's also this thing where it's like, I'm not broke, I'm rich broke, I'm Baroque.
Sorry.
Stupid puns aside.
I was gonna make one. I was like, he's the grandfather of the Baroque movement because he baroque all the rules.
Oh!
Because he did. Because at the time that he starts painting, and like his life is towards the end of the High Renaissance, where everything's like really idealized, and so all of these saints and like religious figures that are going up in churches that are really popular and people are buying a lot of are idealized. They're perfect bodies. They're of this like higher elevation where they're not just like being portrayed as people. They're a little bit more. And he comes in and he starts painting, and it's like one of his first paintings is like boy with a fruit or something. The fruit has bruises and is wilting a little bit, and like flowers have like little like wilting a little bit or dying a little bit. He like the people that he paints are sex workers, the common people with dirty feet. And so he has a lot more idealized realism to his paintings and has this great technique of stark light sources where like all of his paintings don't look like it's during the daytime, where, you know, there's this solitary light source focused on the main point or message of his painting. And so you get these like really dark contrasting shadows and light sources. And his stuff's beautiful. Like y'all probably seen one of his where it's like, I think one of his most famous ones are the 2 ladies cutting off the dude's head.
Oh yeah, definitely.
He's like laying down. And he's like,
yeah,
Isn't that a Bible story? Oh, I thought it was like something about. I learned about this one in art history. Now I feel like a fail because I don't remember it.
We'll get to some of his because he does like a lot of really awesome art stuff, and there's like we'll talk about it a bit, you know, since it's an art podcast, whatever. During the time of his birth, he's born September 29th, 1571, and he's born to like a middle-class family. His dad is a stonemason, but during this time there's a lot of stuff being built and everything, and so stonemasons are in high demand. So his dad's got money because he's getting a lot of work. About 6 years after his birth, they moved to Milan because he's born about like a 2-hour drive out of Milan in Caravaggio. That's why he's called Caravaggio, because Michelangelo's already taken. And he was named after the archangel Michelangelo because his mom wanted him to have a holy name, and hopefully that would like imprint on him and he could live a holy lifestyle. At the time, like growing up in Milan, because they moved from Caravaggio to Milan. And in Milan, there's this Archduke Borromeo, who like once he comes into power, he kind of changes up a lot of the rules and everything and stuff. And he's like, you know, this place has become kind of lawless and sinful because Milan is known for its sword work and the people there having great sword finesse and a willingness to use their sword. Keep that in mind. It'll come in. We'll touch more on that later. And so he starts doing all of this different stuff, and he's just like, duels are outlawed, dancing during festivals are outlawed, all of this sinful kind of stuff. And he's just like, nope. We're not doing that. Stop it. And a lot of the people are just like, but I want to dance during Mardi Gras, because they have this festival right before Lent that's like Mardi Gras, and they're like, I'm gonna dance. Screw you.
Rebels.
Yeah.
Right.
And like there's also like a lot of like petty battles and stuff. Whenever he's 6, Milan gets hit with the Black Plague. And yeah. Shit's about to go down. And so his family moves back.
2020 back in the 20s.
And so they move back to Caravaggio, or a small town near there. His father dies and a bunch of his family members die. Just like people just gone. He's just like, oh crap. But like they've got a lot of land and everything, and they've got like a little trust fund for him and everything. About 1584, he starts doing an art apprenticeship where he has to pay the artist to apprentice with him. And it could be because he has like no artistic training up at that point. But usually whenever at that time, if somebody was doing an art apprenticeship, they would get paid for like some of the work that they did. For the longest time, there's no records of his drawings or his practice paintings or anything like that. But also Caravaggio had a reputation and this juju about him where he just wouldn't sign his paintings. He has like one painting that he signed. So yeah, it's just kind of like, what?
That's
why won't you?
strange.
I don't sign a lot of my paintings.
I do.
I don't sign doodles. My Darktober stuff that's going to end up being mostly doodles, I don't sign those. But if it's like a big piece or something that I spent like hours working on, you're goddamn right I'm putting my name on it. I worked hard on it.
Yeah, that's mine. So like it's kind of unsure how many paintings he has. Like it's the common thing is 40 to 80 paintings.
Huh.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I would have a heart attack if I did that many paintings.
Well, that's over his lifetime, not while he was doing.
Oh, okay. I thought that was like within like
no.
I was just like, oh my God.
Welcome to the apprenticeship. You have to pay me. Make 80 paintings. Go.
Right. Darktober 1584.
He's paying, he's studying and everything. And then about 1590, his mother dies. And before she dies, she leaves everything to her kids, her 3 kids, Caravaggio, his brother, and his sister. And Caravaggio just goes, okay, cool. Sells all of the land and everything that he inherited from his father and just takes the cash prize from his mom. It's just like, okay, peace, bye. Blows it all in a year.
Sounds about right.
Doing what?
Stuff. Gambling. Sex workers, drinking,
Okay.
partying, like a good young artist.
That's true.
And so
There's that self-destructive streak.
yeah. Mm-hmm. So in 1592, he moves from Milan to Rome. Why he goes from Milan to Rome, there's a lot of rumor about that. Official statements say a certain quarrel got him to relocate. And also at this time, Italy is not one country. It's a bunch of different principalities and like city-states all over Italy. Like Rome's one, Milan's one, Sicily's one, Florence, Venice, whatever. And so it's very easy just to be like, oh man, I committed a crime in Milan. I'm going to go to Florence for a while. Oh, did it in Florence. Let's go somewhere else. And so it's very easy to run around and escape the law. There's rumors of a certain quarrel. Maybe he even killed somebody, or he also possibly wounded an officer.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So he goes to Rome in 1592 and joins up with some other like outlawish kind of figures. One of them had been exiled for a year and just recently came back. And it is rumored that he stayed with these people as a way of like hiding. The people that were hiding him were like, we don't want anybody to know. Like, nobody needs to know. There were like fellow artists, bad boy kind of people. At this time, he is starting to work with other artists and just kind of under them with other artists that are not as talented or skilled, just as a way to make some money, because at this point he's broke. He's baroque. Funny.
That's going to be the joke.
Yes. And he's living in an artist colony that is about 2 miles from the Vatican, from Rome Vatican proper. And at this point in history, like you've got the very religious structure of Rome and the Catholics and everything. And then you have this artist colony, which is famed for its violence and pettiness, because the way you live as an artist during that time is getting commissions from the church. Like that's how you made a living. And so artists would get really, really petty and violent with each other because like another artist got a commission, like say two of you, like the three of us are trying to get a commission from a certain church. They're like, we need an altarpiece. And like one artist gets it over you. And you're just like, well, fuck that bitch. I'm going to beat him up. Time for a duel. And also about this time, like there's a new pope. At one point, there were a lot of restrictions on artists because they were just like, okay, cool. We had all of these naked people during the Renaissance. And if you're not painting something about the faith and about Catholicism, like, no, don't. Like, you can't do that. And so like the new pope comes in and he's just like, let's relax a little bit. Like you can paint whatever you want for a private gallery. But if you're doing something for the church, it needs to be a certain level of religious by our standards. Like it has to be checked by a priest at least before it can be hung up in a church. But with life, there's a lot more restrictions. Like they've outlawed sex workers. They put in a curfew and duels are illegal, try to minimize brawls and stuff, especially because like this artist area where Caravaggio moved, there's tons of brawls and fights and artists just beating each other up, being like, fuck you, you got that commission, I'm going to punch you in the face, blah, 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 blah. And so there's a certain punishment that gets installed where like they tie the hands behind the back and then lift the hands up and it dislocates the shoulder. And so the artist would be out of work for about a month.
Oh my God. This is like jawbreaker shit.
Yeah. And like there were like other crimes and stuff that if you committed like certain heinous crimes and stuff, they would hang you and then dismember your body on public display while a priest gave a sermon about the sin that you committed. I know, right? It's just like, what the hell?
That's a pretty skewed religious logic there.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy sinned, so we're gonna kill him.
Back in the day, the church did not play. The church did not play.
No, it didn't. So eventually,
his forgiveness.
So eventually, Caravaggio gets into the good graces of another artist that's like not as talented as him, and starts like working under him. I think I might have his name written down somewhere. I don't think I do. I thought I did. But he's under another artist, and it possibly could be the one that he like first moved to Rome to stay with, that like kept him safe or whatever. And it's not sure, like there's no like definite reason of why they stopped being friends or whatever, but apparently there was an argument that ended in a brawl between the two. So Caravaggio moves out and he starts doing his own art and starts like getting paid and doing stuff for a few churches kind of here and there and everything, and then gets the attention of Cardinal Del Monte. Del Monte is like, hey, you're great. I want you under my payroll. You can live with me and do paintings. So he's getting commissions for more churches and everything. And some of the churches are just like, yeah, we'll totally pay you. Do this thing. And then like he'll paint it and stuff. And they're just like, man, this is really realistic, because he's like painting the wrinkles, the dirt on people's faces, and using common people as his models, like sex workers. He had this one sex worker that he really liked. At one point, he did a painting of the Virgin Mary and used the sex worker as the model. And she's kind of got like a voluptuous bosom and everything. And it hung up in the church for 2 days and then it was taken down. They were just like, yeah. Because the model that he was using was a very famous sex worker of the city that everybody was just like, oh, hey, I slept with her.
Yeah, I was about to say, that says more about people recognizing her as the subject of his painting. Yeah, so that's more about them than him.
And also while he's staying with the cardinal, he gets arrested for illegally being past curfew and having a sword. And during his trial and stuff, they're just like, Caravaggio, why were you wearing a sword? And he's just like, I am Caravaggio. I'm under the employment of this cardinal. I'm allowed to have a sword. I live with him. I'm under his payroll. Do you know who I am? and then gets let go. And so, like, during this time, he loves to get into fights. Like, he's hanging out with the other bad boy artists. He's getting into fights all the time. At one point, the Cardinal has a guest, and Caravaggio hits him with a cudgel.
What?
Like, cudgel. It's like a club weapon.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Like, Caravaggio attacks the Cardinal's guest. Anytime Caravaggio thought that he was being slighted or disrespected, he would start a fight.
This guy sounds like my ex-boyfriend.
Yeah.
The guy sounds like he has tiny dick energy.
Like I said, sounds like my ex-boyfriend.
Like, he gets arrested for having an illegal sword. He gets arrested for insulting police officers. He gets arrested for getting into numerous brawls, but he also would not take care of himself after duels or brawls, because if he went to the barber surgeon, they would have to like look at his wounds and just be like, well, why did you get the stab wound? I don't know. So they'd like kind of find out about his like reputation. He already had a reputation of being a bad boy and like starting brawls. At one point, he hit a waiter in the face with a plate.
Oh, what the fuck, dude?
Like, him and his friends ordered some artichokes, and once it gets brought to the table, they're like, all right, cool. Which ones were fried in butter and which ones were fried in oil? And the waiter, either he picks it up and smells the artichoke, or he tells Caravaggio, smell it for yourself. And Caravaggio was just like, do you think I'm some fucking cuckold? Like, do you think I'm some stupid idiot? And picks up a ceramic plate and smashes it across the waiter's face and takes the sword from one of his friends and takes an aggressive stance to the waiter. And the waiter just runs and goes immediately to the police. And he's just like, hey, Caravaggio did this thing.
Oh, so this whole thing about the waiters getting blamed for the kitchen's mistakes has been going on for hundreds of years.
Or if you just smell your fucking food, you'd be able to tell which one was fried in butter and which one was fried in oil.
Fuck, I wouldn't be able to tell that. I mean, I don't know. Of course, I don't cook that often, so.
Yeah. Also, during this time, he gets in a petty art feud with another artist who was jealous of Caravaggio's skill level and some of the commissions that he's getting, because at this point, like, he's getting famous. Like 1600, like, he's got a residency at the Cardinals. He's getting art commissions all the time and stuff, and he's just like, he's doing really well. This other artist makes a mockery painting of Caravaggio, and it sells, and he gets like a little necklace, and it's just like, hey, yeah. And he also tries to defame Caravaggio and spreading tales of Caravaggio's homosexual tendencies. And of course, in like Rome during that time, that's something punishable by death. And also, like, different patrons and everything don't want like a homo's art thing in there. But I really think Caravaggio's bisexual because of like his interactions with a lot of like female sex workers. And so in retaliation, Caravaggio makes 2 poems about this artist. The artist's name kind of like in Italian kind of similarly is a little bit towards testicles. And so he makes this poem like called like John Testicles or something. And it's about this artist. And at this time, doing like a derogatory kind of story or painting or poem of somebody else is illegal. And so basically, like, throughout the entire poem, he's just like, you know, that painting that you made, you could turn it into britches so everybody could know it's complete shit. Or you could take it to the butcher and wrap up some meat. Or better yet, the best purpose for it is to wipe your own ass with it.
Wow.
Yeah,
Dang.
and he calls his paintings like
That's
drawings
some
and
fucking
cartoons.
shade right there.
Oh, yeah. Like, Caravaggio doesn't fucking play around. Like, you could look at him wrong and he'd fight you. He gets in a fight in a fucking bakery.
That's some like medieval shade.
I'm sorry, I don't know why that tickled me so hard.
Because who gets in a fight in a bakery? Like,
Over what though? Like the puff pastries? Like
This
amount-
pastry isn't puffy enough.
powdered
Fisticuffs.
sugar.
how dare you put raspberry jam?
I wanted feta and spinach, bitch.
I wanted savory pastries.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And after him being sued by the other artists, like, the Cardinals just kind of like, hey, you can't stay here. I love you. I love your art. We'll still commission some stuff, but no. And like he attacks another artist trying to kill him, but the artist is quick on his feet and dodges out of the way and just gets like a minor scrape in his cloak cut because Caravaggio, like he said the wrong thing to Caravaggio. Caravaggio got in trouble for throwing rocks at police officers. At one point, he gets stopped by a police officer and he's just like, "Hey, is that a sword? Do you have a permit for the sword?" Caravaggio's like, "Yes, I have a permit." And he's like, "All right, cool, go about your day." And then Caravaggio starts to walk away and goes, "You can shove it up your ass," and then gets arrested.
This fucking guy.
Yeah, there's so much about his like track record and his criminal record where it's just like he'd get in trouble, be thrown in jail, and then 4 days later do something else, get into another fight. All this time he's making these beautiful paintings and stuff, and because he's kind of like in these higher up circles of the Catholic world, they're just like, "Hey, let Caravaggio go. Like, I have this painting, I need finished. Like, do it." Like
Enablers.
Yeah. Catholic Church for the win. Yeah. Look how powerful they are. Ooh. Catholic Church, like, it's scary, like, in some parts of their history. Like,
oh yeah.
In a lot of their history. I'm sorry. I'm kind of, I don't know if you can tell, but I kind of like, well, I kind of grew up going to Catholic church and like I went all over the place, but I went to Catholic church and I know a lot of people don't like it, but I actually really dig the Catholic church.
Like, there's some beauty to it.
There is beauty, but there's also some fucked upness that I can relate to, and it intrigues me for some reason. Like, I'm drawn to it. I don't know.
There's this comedian that I like named John Mulaney, and he was raised Catholic. And he goes, "We don't mean to exclude you, but we love to exclude you."
I think, you know who else was brought up Catholic? I think Kevin Smith. That's why he made that movie Dogma.
That makes sense.
Yeah. I think Catholics have dark humor going for them because I think they just grew up that way. Like, you have to have dark humor, like, growing up in the Catholic Church.
If not, you turn out like Caravaggio. And also, like, while he's painting these things for the churches and stuff, he's also painting like low life situations. Like, there's one painting called The Gypsy Fortune Teller, where it's about a Roman woman giving a fortune telling while she's also like taking one of his rings. And there's also like a card shark kind of painting that he does where it's somebody cheating somebody else at a card game. And like the church is just kind of like, "Hey, dude, cut it out. Like, those aren't things that we want you painting." But he's doing it anyway. And also, like, another thing about his paintings is that there's no like record of his sketches of his entire life, that he would just paint his paintings. Like, he wouldn't draw, like, they've done x-rays of his paintings and stuff, and there's like no residue of sketch underneath the paintings. Like, he would just take straight paint to canvas. And he would also use like live models while doing that, while other artists were just doing sketches and then using the sketch to make the painting, which was also kind of illegal. Why because he would hire sex workers to be his models.
Because they're cheap, right?
Because like prostitution was like okay, but like art modeling was not okay.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's something that I heard while researching this, and I was just like, how much truth is there to that? But like, yeah, him using lowlifes as his art models, and the church did not like that. And so like from 1600 to 1606, he's like super famous in Italy, but all this time, like, he's looking for fights. Like, he would walk around in the middle of the night dressed in black with a sword on him looking for a fight, which was illegal.
I mean, I feel like that's just legal in any time.
So like, y'all remember that one famous sex worker that he used a lot as his model or whatever? Her pimp was a very rich, noble gangster. And apparently Caravaggio had some gambling debt with the dude because they had a duel in the evening on like this like tennis court, but it's not quite tennis. It's some like old style Italian game that's like tennis, but it involves a string. There's a word for it, but I forget it and I didn't write it down. So some people think it's either about like some gambling debt, or the pimp insulted Caravaggio, or Caravaggio was trying to take some of his girls and become a pimp himself. Either that, or he was in love with this one sex worker that he used as a model. And so in that time, if you fought a duel over a woman, you tried to castrate or cut off the dick of the other dude.
Like you do.
Oh, God.
I mean, it kind of makes sense in a weird way, but I'm like, Is that just like was that just a trend, or was this like a rule that they came up with? Did they have
it's dude bros being like, hey, you touched my girl or you winked at my girl, I'm gonna cut off your dick.
It's the medieval equivalent of "come at me, bro."
This is just like medieval bro code.
Yeah.
So
What the
Caravaggio and this dude, they get their bros together, and Caravaggio and this guy have a duel, and Caravaggio kills him by stabbing him in the thigh and cutting his femoral artery, and he bleeds out.
Oh my god!
Because Caravaggio was probably trying to cut off his dick.
He missed a little.
You missed a little.
Did he though? Did he though?
Like,
I mean, he still killed the guy.
Yeah, he killed the guy, and so everybody else's like buds like get in the brawl and stuff, and they like one of Caravaggio's dudes gets really badly injured, so they take him to the Dr. Barber. Caravaggio gets kind of injured, and they're like, you need to get out of town. Like, you killed a very rich, prominent gangster. Get the fuck out of town. And so he nopes out of there and goes to Naples. Or, like, he kind of bounces around a bit and stuff, and the family of the gangsters just kind of like, I know it was a duel and everything, but Caravaggio committed murder. Do something about it now. And so the church exiles him and puts a bounty on his head that if anybody wants to, they can decapitate him and bring the church his head, and they'll give you a prize.
That's so nice of them.
So he kind of bounces around a few places and stuff. Like, he goes to Naples, Malta, Sicily. He kind of bounces around a bit, makes a few more paintings. At one point, he makes a David and Goliath painting and it's David holding Goliath's head, and it's a self-portrait of Caravaggio that he sends to the nephew of the Pope, who's also like a commander of the citizen police. So he's got a lot of power to like kind of like influence the Pope to like nix that exile. He's just like, hey, you want my head? Here's a painting of my head.
Clever.
Cancel my
dude.
exile. Okay, please. Yes. No word? All right, fine. Fuck you, whatever. And so, like, he's poor, he's destitute. He starts getting some commissions for some other churches and some private buyers because they're just like, ooh, a Caravaggio painting? Yes, please. And so he ends up in Malta, and he wants to be a part of the St. John Knighthood, which is like high-ranking stuff. Like, they're above the law, and the only law that they have to adhere to is the St. John Knight Code of Honor. And plus he wants like this like little like Knight Malta cross and stuff, because the Knights of Malta during that time, they did a whole bunch of badass shit and helped in the Crusades and different war things and stuff. So they're like famous badasses, like strutting around with this little cross of Malta. People are like, ooh, look at those, the Knights of Malta, look at them digs. Mm-hmm. And so he wants to get into that, but he's not noble enough to get at the high ranking of like the St. John Knighthood. Instead, he's just like, maybe I could use my art to get in there. And so he starts propositioning the different people in the knighthood, just be like, hey, you want a portrait? I'll paint your portrait. And so he does like a low level kind of dude. And then the Grand Master of the Malta Knighthood like finds out about it and it's just like, oh, hey, yeah, like paint me a picture. And then like, because he paints them this badass picture, he becomes a Knight of Malta. And like the Grand Master like sends a letter to Rome and being like, hey, there's this dude, Caravaggio. Like, can you vouch for him? They're just like, yes, like Caravaggio is a great, wonderful person. We accept your proposal to make him a Knight of Malta, even though he has killed somebody. He's only a knight for a month because there's like some like rules and regulations. Like you got to pay the Brotherhood and everything to be in there. You got to live on the island of Malta for a year. So he stays there for a year and doing some other art commissions so he can pay the Brotherhood. And then after a year, one of the rules of Malta is like they're very like straight lace religious kind of dudes, and they're just like no brawls, no duels, no fraternizing, no sex workers, no drinking, no gambling, all of the stuff that Caravaggio loves.
Did he know this when he was signing up? Like, why did he just He just wanted the piece of jewelry.
He wanted the piece of jewelry, he wanted the notoriety, and he also probably thought that it would be good for his exile. Be like, I don't want to be in exile anymore. Look at me, I'm a Knight of Malta. I'm a good boy. So he gets in a fight with a fellow Knight of Malta that's of a higher rank, in a higher order and stuff. There's rumors that the knight died because of Caravaggio.
Mysterious.
Because for some reason, Caravaggio thought that he was being insulted by this dude, of course. They arrest him and everything, and they're just like, all right, cool, we've got a trial set up, and Caravaggio escapes and goes to Sicily. He made a couple paintings while he was there, and at a certain church, they hold his trial right underneath the painting that he made for the church. And they revoke his knighthood. Yeah. As he's traveling around during his exile and stuff, like he's still making a lot of paintings and everything. And people are buying them up and they're just like, yay, great. In 1609, he gets ambushed because he's still in contact with the Pope's nephew and everything. He's just like, hey, like, stop this exile bullshit, please. Okay, thank you. And he finally gets news from him. He's like, all right, cool. Bring your unfinished paintings, any other paintings that you have not sold, bring them to Rome. I get them, and we'll talk about your pardon. You'll be pardoned as soon as I get those paintings. He's like, all right, fine. So he packs up his stuff, gets on a boat, starts heading to Rome. On his way to Rome, he gets off the boat, and for whatever reason, he gets arrested. I think it's because he got into another fight and probably slapped somebody. Oh, also because like before he gets exiled from Rome, he attacks a notary.
Oh, God.
Actually, let me rephrase that. A notary gets a blow on the head. He's like walking alone at night and gets this blow on his head, and he's bleeding. He's just like, what the hell? I've been hit by a sword. Doesn't really see who does it. But as soon as he goes to the police, he's just like, the only person I have beef with is Caravaggio. And so they arrest him.
I mean, it's probably him.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I would say so.
Also, who hit somebody in the head with a sword? Like, that's rude.
Yeah. Actually, before like as he's talking about the pardon and stuff, and he's like, get on the boat, come here, before he gets arrested, before he gets on the boat, like he finds out that, hey, send me the paintings, come to Rome. He's just like, oh, great. He goes to celebrate at a tavern where a lot of like his friends hang out and a lot of artists are, but he's followed. And as soon as he leaves the tavern, he's jumped. And he gets this like horrible gash on his face. And it takes him like 6 months to get to the point to where he can travel. He's still kind of sick. It's rumored that it could have been some people from Rome, but it's kind of far from Rome, so it's unlikely. But it's also possible that some knights from Malta came back to get revenge. Because if you get cut on the face like he did, it's a revenge thing because you dishonored somebody else. And so they're just like, we're also going to disfigure you, bitch. So then he gets on the boat with his paintings, gets arrested at a stop before Rome. And the boat leaves with all of his stuff. Like whenever he gets out of jail, he's just like, where's the boat? The boat's gone with all your shit. He's just like, fuck. And so he travels to catch up with the boat and dies. And there's a lot of rumor around why he dies. It could be because of malaria. It could be because of his wounds being infected, because he got into a bunch of brawls and duels and didn't take care of his wounds, because that means he would get arrested again. It's also more likely that some more knights found him and tried to kill him. Or he died of syphilis because he was into the,
Well, that was the thing. That was the thing. To die
You're not an it boy unless you've got syphilis. So he dies, and 3 days later, the Pope pardons him. There's also a rumor that the Pope sent assassins to kill him because they were just done with his shit.
Man, that's a lot of different ways he could have died.
Yeah.
Is it they just don't have a record of why he died, so they just kind of had to make something up later?
Like the Vatican's got some records on it, but also the Vatican's been kind of like maybe yes, no about a lot of like Caravaggio stuff. Because at one point in 2010, they're just like, we have Caravaggio's body, because if Caravaggio was buried in an unmarked grave unceremoniously, really quick after his death. And so they're just like, we have Caravaggio's body. And then a year later, they're just like, it might not be Caravaggio's body. We possibly made a mistake. Oops.
Isn't there supposedly like some kind of like hidden hymn or something that supposedly the Catholic Church is hiding, or like some kind of like testament, or like I don't I don't remember. It was like basically like Catholic Church has a history of not particularly providing a lot of information about certain things. So it doesn't surprise me. There's just, especially the Vatican, there's shit there that I'm sure that you'd have to be the Pope to know. So
yeah, probably. I don't doubt it.
I bet his death is one of them.
Yeah. So the Knights of Malta find the boat and take his paintings. And then the Pope's nephew is just like, hey, those are mine. And they're just like, no, he was a Knight of Malta.
Oh, now they're going to claim him?
Yeah. Now they're going to claim him. Because like,
now that he's dead, now it's cool.
Yeah. Now that he's dead, they're just like, oh yeah, he was one of us. Absolutely, totally. Because if you were a part of Knight of Malta, if you died, all of your possessions went to the Knights of Malta. And so they take that. And so Malta and Rome have a feud and they start sending angry letters to the manager, to each other. And so eventually the Pope's nephew gets one painting back that's damaged. And it's presumed that the other two paintings were destroyed.
Ah.
Yeah.
Why is it always the paintings get destroyed? With these stories with you. It's always artwork getting destroyed with you, Russell.
Artwork and violence. And fire.
The twist was that the art murder was actually the murder of the art.
What a twist!
But that's not where it ends.
Shyamalan.
In October 1969.
Oh, there's more.
Yes. So like he's been dead for a good chunk of time.
Oh yeah, couple 100 years, right?
Yes. There is a painting and it's the nativity with a nativity scene with St. Francis and St. Lawrence. And it's in a church and it gets stolen by two men in the middle of the night. And it is rumored that it's by the Sicilian mafia. This is all allegedly. Okay, thank you.
We're doing air quotes. Allegedly.
Allegedly, it was the Sicilian mafia because a former Sicilian mafia member came forward and was just like, yeah, we stole the painting. And it was displayed during important mafia meetings. And currently there's a reproduction of the painting in the church and whatever. And after this theft, that's when Italy dedicates a specific task force to art theft.
Wow.
And it is presumed that the painting itself has been destroyed.
God damn it.
Yeah.
Stop destroying paintings.
I totally forgot something. So at one point, whenever he is living in Rome, he needed to leave the city or whatever, he was living in an apartment and he was back due on rent and had some unfinished pieces in there. And his landlady was just like, fuck this shit. You owe me rent. Took all of his stuff and changed the locks on the apartment. And whenever Caravaggio got back, he was just like, where's my shit? Give me back my stuff. And she's like, no, fuck you, go away. And he starts throwing rocks and breaking her windows.
What is it with him and rocks?
I don't know. He threw rocks at a lot of people. He threw plates at people. That's Caravaggio, the bad boy of Rome.
Wow. That's crazy.
That is crazy. Although, like, now that I'm looking back at, like, the paintings that I remember that he did, not that surprising. Because a lot of them have to do with, like, violence.
Yes. Yes. Especially after he got exiled.
I'm actually looking at some on Google right now. Mm-hmm. Looking at some of him.
Beautiful.
They are beautiful, but yes, they are very violent. I'm actually looking at the one with his head.
I remember that one from art history class.
Yeah.
I remember really liking his work, but like we didn't really go into like a lot of his history.
Because he also had, there's also a lot of rumors about him being homosexual or bisexual and stuff, because throughout all of his paintings, he never once painted a nude female. But he did like have some like risque kind of paintings of females like with larger breasts and a low-cut red shirt and stuff, and they're just like, hey, this is no. Don't do that. That's why like he broke the rules, because he was just, like everybody else doing this like idealized stuff of people from the church, and he's just like, oh, you want a death of Mary, of the Virgin Mary? Cool. Here's a painting of her actually being dead and not really ascending into heaven like you want. She's just dead. It's a painting of her being dead. And the church was like, no. But yeah, that's Caravaggio.
Yay! He sounds
Yay!
He does sound neat. He's the kind of guy that we probably all be at like one of those artist cafes being like, oh my gosh, blah, 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 blah. And see him like tumbling out of the door like in a brawl with somebody else being like, motherfucker, say that again to my face.
Right. Like, no, he doesn't sound like someone I'd want to hang out with, but he sounds neat.
If he was fighting in the bakery across the street, we'd probably just like set down our stuff and watch and just be like, "Ooh, Caravaggio's at it again."
Yeah, that's exactly what would happen. Neighborhood like drama, dude. Like,
Did you hear what Caravaggio did this week? I thought he was in jail. He just got out and then thrown back in.
Oh, girl, he's already back in.
I love it. All right, and break. Can you guys hear me? Okay, I moved my mic, so
Yes.
Yeah, I can hear you.
okay, cool. Just want to make sure. I'm still trying to like get everything kind of set up here, so everything's like a mess. Look, I got everything printed out and typed up this time,
Yay!
Woo!
and it's not. Huh?
I just made notes in my notebook.
I did that last time, and it irritated me because I couldn't read my own handwriting. So I made sure to, which is why I was like, I need 5 more minutes because I was like trying to finish typing it up and
I feel
printing it
like
out.
bad handwriting is just an artist thing. I think it's because our brains think faster than we write, and so we have to write really fast, or it's like we're scared we're going to lose the thought before we can get it down on paper. Or maybe that's just an ADHD thing. I don't know.
No, I agree.
Maybe it's a combination of both.
Yeah. Because I'm ADHD and an artist. So it's like my handwriting, like if I'm like really going, like if I'm like learning something new at work and I'm trying to like take notes, it's bad. I like go back and rewrite my notes.
I have to like mentally tell myself you need to like be on your best handwriting behavior. And I just have to like make sure that I know to like make it legible at least. Okay, so mine's not going to be nearly as crazy as the last time we did like a research project. I promise. Yeah.
Maybe.
So, no, it's not. It's not. And it's not going to be nearly as long. So I'm really happy about that because this didn't take me like all day. So today I want to talk about Andy Warhol.
Yay!
Yay!
I used to hate him, but now I love him.
Yay! I think I was in the same boat too. I went through this like phase where I really hated like modern contemporary art and like pop art and stuff like that. Because I was like, when I was like really young, I was like an art purist and I was like realism. And then like I was like I went to the Modern Art Museum and I was like, what the fuck is this shit? This isn't art. Like I got all pissed off at it. But then I like it, I got it after a while, but yeah, so I totally feel you.
For me, it was just like he was the worst screen printer I've ever seen. Like that was like I was just like, people are like, this is terribly done. This is like a terrible screen print. But no, over the years, you know what it was is I just hadn't found that Andy Warhol piece that spoke to me. So I think that's the key with Warhol is you have to find that piece that speaks to you. And for me, it was the knives, like his screen print of the knives. I actually had a wallet that had the knives on it that I got from Hot Topic for years. Do you remember that wallet?
Yes.
That was the one that I got signed by that author that we went and saw down on Lower Greenville Avenue. I still have that wallet somewhere. It's floating around. But yeah,
that author dude was amazing. That was a great experience to have with you, Jade. That day was so much fun.
Yes, it was. We've had a lot of really good days. Like that day we just spontaneously went to the symphony because
the art museum was closed. And it was like we were about to get back on the train and like we're like, all right, cool. Let's smoke some weed and go to the art museum. And so we smoke each other out. We get on the train and we go to the art museum and there's a private party going on. And we're dressed in our grungies. Like Jade's in pajama pants and I'm in stuff that's covered in paint and sandals. And we walk in and there's this lady in this nice like evening gown cocktail attire. And she's just like, hot. What the hell, Gaz?
She's used to jumping up on the back of my other chair, but she hasn't figured out that she can't do that on this one yet. You're not allowed. You need to get down. You're gonna fucking tear up my chair. Get down. Sorry.
It is fine.
Okay.
Gas interruptions are totally okay.
Yeah, that's cool. So, but anyway, let's Andy Warhol. We got way off topic.
No,
we got to finish the story of the symphony.
Okay. All right. We'll finish the story. All right. Cool.
And so we walk in and we're just like, is the museum open? Because the doors were unlocked and we just like walked in. She's just like, actually, there's a private party for like members. Are y'all members? And like she gave us such a nasty hoity-toity look.
Yeah.
And like looked us both up and down and was just like, we're like, okay, cool. We'll leave now.
Okay,
And-
so like I'm gonna interrupt real quick. Side note for people who don't live in this area, Dallas is like not what you would expect coming to Texas. Like it's not stereotypical Texas. It is like
no.
city hoity-toity fucking snobby ass bitches sometimes, and I just like I fucking hate it. That's why I don't like going to Dallas museums. That's why I go to Fort Worth for my art. Screw Dallas sometimes. Like art museums especially. Now the symphony and the theater is different because everybody has to shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
I'll do that in Dallas, but art museums and shit, I go to Fort Worth. Okay, sorry. I just had to put that in there so people knew that
totally
kind of shit is common in Dallas.
Yeah. So like we walked out and we're kind of bummed about it, and all of the other like because there's like 3 or 4 different museums in that like little cluster, and we're just like, oh man, bummer. I was like, I have to pee so bad. And we're walking back to the train station, and I'm just like, hey, the Symphony Building's right there. I'll be right back. I'm gonna go use the restroom. So I run in there and I pee real quick, and I stop by the box office because the box office is right next to the restroom. So it's just like, hey, how much is it to see the symphony? She's like, if you're a student, it's $20. It's just like, I'm not a student. She's like, if you're a student, it's $20. I was like,
wink, wink.
Okay, honey, I might come back and see you. And so I run outside and Jade's smoking a cigarette. And I was just like, how much money do you have on you? What do you have? Where's your money? And I think this was like shortly after your thing with him and stuff. And so you kind of looked at me and just kind of like, what's going on here? Like Jade was very hesitant. And I was just like, if we have $40, we can go see the symphony and save this trip down here. And Jade's just like, I don't know, man. I'm still really high. I don't know. And it was just like, but we can see the symphony. They're doing something tonight. It's really cool. We came down here to do art stuff. Let's go see the symphony. And Jade's like, oh, okay. Here you go. We go down there. I go back to the same girl. And it's just like, we're both students. We're here to see the symphony. She's like, okay, cool. And everybody else is like dressed up in button-up shirts. There's like a cocktail hour going on with like little hors d'oeuvres and like buffet stuff kind of going on. And we're just kind of like sitting there in the corner, and I had put Angela's cookies in a bag and put it in my backpack. And so we're munching on cookies, just kind of sitting in the corner, just stoned, just being like, we're about to see the symphony. Yeah. And then we ended up sitting next to some people that were like Gold Star members of the symphony. And we just sat there, and it was just like, wow, this is really cool. And like that lady that sat next to us was actually really nice, and she's just like, do y'all come to the symphony often? Because like she was in a nice dress and her husband was in like a nice suit and stuff, and she's like, do y'all come here often? It's like, no, like we wanted to go to this museum, but we just kind of like chose to be here instead. And she's just like, oh, cool, well, you're really gonna enjoy it. And she like rattled off the piece and the composer and like some of the people that were in the orchestra, and she's just like, yeah, this is great, it's wonderful. I love it whenever young people decide to come out and enjoy the arts, and we're just like, yeah, you want a cookie? It was great.
That sounds like an awesome time.
Yeah, it was totally unexpected too. It was just like a spur of the moment thing.
Yeah, we probably reeked of cigarettes and weed.
Yeah, we probably did. But, you know, to be young students, it's like, I feel like that lady, she probably could smell us, but it was one of those things where I guess she was like, I mean, they got high and went to a symphony. I mean, there's worse things that they could have been doing, you know?
Not only that, but don't put it past, like, don't put it past her. She might have been, like, crazy back in her day, too. So,
yeah.
I just had the thought of, like, the lady kind of, like, smelling us and just being like, hey, these kids are probably cool. You want an edible?
That would have made it so cool. But yeah,
Yes.
okay. Sorry.
Andy Warhol.
I love
Andy
that
Warhol.
story. I've heard that story before, but I love hearing that story. I love
It's a good
impromptu art trips. Okay. I miss.
If you hang out with me enough, there's always impromptu trips. Like the one time that Jessica and I went to go see Alice in Wonderland, and we dressed up in cosplay and stuff to go see it. And on the way back, of course, again, we were high. There was like one of those mall
We're gonna
carnivals.
have to cut like all of this out because I could not like talking about like
statute of limitations. This was back whenever I was like in my early 20s. I'm 33 now. Like,
yeah,
whatever.
true.
And we're on the way home, and I think we're like smoking more in the car on the way back to whatever boyfriend she had at the time, like his apartment and stuff. And there was one of those mall carnivals, and I looked over and I was just like, stop the car, we're going to the carnival now. And so we did.
Awesome. All right. Andy Warhol. So I'm gonna go over like a brief like history of Andy Warhol, because like just in case like people who aren't familiar or whatever, and also because I learned a couple of things that I didn't know about him. So he was born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania on August 6, 1928. His father was a construction worker and his mother was an embroiderer, and he developed his love for drawing after a childhood disease left him bedridden for a couple of weeks. Like his mom was like into art and stuff, so she started giving him like drawing lessons while he was sick. And they always kind of like encouraged his art. Like she bought him a camera at the age of 9. He got into like photography and film. Like he like just loved the arts and like in general. So he took art classes as a child. His father died when he was young, like when he was like 14. And in his will, his father like left all of his savings to him. He stipulated that he wanted to be used to continue his art education. So Andy Warhol graduated from the Carnegie Institute for Technology with a Bachelor of Fine Arts, and that school is now called Carnegie Mellon University. And he moved to New York to pursue a career as a commercial artist. And he started working for Glamour magazine as a commercial artist in the 1950s, which I had no idea that he like worked for
cool.
Glamour. Yeah, it's cool. Then in the late 1950s, he started concentrating more on painting. And in 1961, he debuted his concept of pop art paintings that focused on mass-produced commercial goods. So like the Campbell soup cans and things like that. And he also was doing like, the screen print portraits of like celebrities and stuff like that. So the stuff that you're used to seeing. In 1964, he opened his art studio in Midtown Manhattan that it's the kind of famous like hangout spot, the Factory. Like everybody would come and like hang out, like bunch of celebrities, bunch of like rock stars, bunch of artists and stuff. And he would like have parties there, and it was like open, like anybody could come in and out like whenever. So yeah, so that's like Andy Warhol. Now I'm going to tell you about this other lady. I'm trying to decide how I was going to tell this story, but I think I'm going to tell you about her first. So we're going to talk about this girl, this lady. Her name is Valerie Solanas. Okay.
That's a nice name.
Isn't it? It's kind of beautiful. Okay. Valerie Solanas. She was born in Vintner City, New Jersey on April 9th, 1936. Her father was a bartender and her mother was a dental assistant. So she was like kind of a troubled individual. She said that her father had sexually abused her. And her parents divorced when she was like really young. She didn't like her stepdad, so she started like acting out and like rebelling. And she was like a writer. I guess she was a writer from like a young age. So she would write up insults for kids to use against other kids for like a dime. Like you could pay her a dime. And she would write some fucking like shade for you to throw at other people, which I thought was like funny as hell.
Damn. Why didn't I do that shit?
Right? Why didn't we all do this shit? I guess we don't have that entrepreneurial spirit like this lady did.
No, we just kept them for ourselves whenever other people made fun of us.
Right. We just like emo like wrote it in our journals. Like
that's true.
This bitch smells like cabbage.
She also once beat up a boy who was picking on a younger girl. Also, one time she punched a nun.
Oh my god. That poor nun.
Oh my god.
I mean, if it was at school, she might have like just I didn't look into it. I didn't have time to like look into that particular story, but it was just like in one of the facts that I found that she like punched a nun once, and I was like, epic. Fucking epic. Like, who does that?
Gosh.
Since she was like making so much noise and so much trouble, her mom was like, I can't handle this shit anymore. So she went to go like live with her grandparents.
No.
But things did not improve for her. She said her grandfather was an alcoholic who beat her. And so she ended up running away when she was 15 and basically like living on the streets, like she was homeless. She gave birth to a son at age 17 in 1953. And the father was a married sailor. Yeah, so I don't think he like really wanted anything to do. Maybe he didn't know. I didn't look into it, but basically the baby was taken away from her and put up for adoption, and she like never saw him again.
Aww.
That's kind of like a background on how like her fucked up childhood. Somehow, with all of this stuff going on, I don't know how the fuck she did it. She ended up graduating high school like on time.
Wow.
And then she went on from high school and she earned a degree in psychology from the University of Maryland. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I'll fucking know. But yeah, good for her. Like, that's badass. So there was some information that said while she was in college, she hosted a call-in radio show where she gave advice on it just said how to combat men. Because I guess she was like a feminist, but like a radical feminist. So, and I don't know, it was just because of all of her childhood experiences with men, like her father and her grandfather and stuff like that. But I guess she basically became like a man hater, I feel like. And maybe through that whole experience with that guy who got her pregnant or whatever. So
this is how you fight a man.
Right.
Punch him in the face, like, did that nun.
Right. So she's just really angry. I also found information that said she was an open lesbian at this time. Like, and this is like in the 1950s. So that's like a real big deal to be like openly gay at that time. So I don't know if they didn't say anything else beyond that point. So I don't know if she was bisexual or she just decided that she didn't want anything to do with guys anymore, which, like I said, she was a radical feminist. So by this point, she just hated dudes, is what it sounded like, which is fair based on her history.
Yeah.
So in the mid 1960s, she moves to New York, where she supports herself through begging and also prostitution. She founded a society called Scum, which she denied that this is what it stood for. But then I also found stuff that said that she actually later said that she did mean it to stand for this. But I couldn't find any other, or I didn't see any other like meanings for it. But Scum is said to has stood for the Society for Cutting Up Men.
Oh my god!
Oh my god!
Of which she was the only member. And she started writing like a manifesto based on like her ideals or whatever that envisioned a world without men. Oh. And like the premise is basically men have fucked up the world and it's up to women to fix it.
Okay.
So yeah, no, she's super like boo on men right now. There's a quote from her that says, "To effect a complete female takeover, to end the production of males, to begin to create a swinging, groovy, out-of-sight female world, to end this hard, grim, static, boring male world, and wipe the ugly, leering male face off the map." Like, she was not... She just didn't want dudes to exist in the world at all.
Dang.
And like, I have her opening line for the manifesto, which is, I think, still in print, and it's been like reprinted a bunch. Actually, by the way, yeah. And it's been like quoted from like those like really radical like feminist type writings and stuff. So the opening line of the manifesto is, "Life in this society," I'm doing she has air quotes around life and air quotes over society. So, "Life in this society being at best an utter bore, and no aspect of society being at all relevant to women, there remains to civic-minded, responsible, thrill-seeking females only to overthrow the government, eliminate the money system, institute complete automation, and eliminate the male sex." Like, that's the opening line. So,
dang.
Yeah. she's not playing. Like she's like hardcore, like fuck dudes, I hate them.
Golly.
So some people have said that this manifesto is like a parody and she like didn't mean it, like it's all sarcastic and shit. But she came out and said like, nah, like I meant everything I said. I was dead serious. Fuck dudes. That's what she says.
Golly.
So
God.
in 1967, she runs into Andy Warhol like outside of his studio and she says, "Hey yo, I have this play. It's called, like, the title of the play is Up Your Ass. Will you produce it?" Because, you know, Andy Warhol would, like, do films and stuff like that. So I guess she was, like, trying to get him to help her with that. So the plot of the play is it's based on a plot about a woman who is a man-hating hustler and panhandler who ends up killing a man. That's the summary I found of it. So Warhol like, takes a copy of the script that she had with her, and he's like, "Yeah, sure, I'll look over it, and like, I'll get back to you or whatever." And like, he reads the thing, and he's like, "Is this a joke?" Like, because like it was so obscene and pornographic. He thought it was a setup. He used to get in trouble for like obscenity from the cops for the films that he would make and stuff. So he kind of thought it was like a setup to kind of entrap him.
Oh
so
my gosh.
he like that's how like fucked up this thing was. He was like, this gets to be like a trap. It's said that he would never produce it. He considered it to be vulgar and humorless.
It has interesting technique.
It has, yeah, exactly. He's like, you have interesting technique. I found something that said that like she got back to him about it, and he was like, "Nah, but like I'll let you come and work for me to be like a typist. Like you're good at typing stuff, I guess, or something."
Okay.
She was like, "No," and then she was like, well, if you're not gonna produce it, I want my script back." And he was like, "Oh, you know what? I'm sorry, I lost it. I don't know where it's at." And she was like, "Well, then you owe me money for that script because you lost it, and that's my work or whatever." And he was like, "Well, I'm not going to pay you what you want for the script, but tell you what I'm going to do. I'll cast you in one of my movies," because, you know, he would make movies all the time, like art films and stuff. And he's like, "I'm going to cast you in this movie." And the name of the movie was called I, a Man. So she had a part in that. And then he's like, "And I'll give you $25, which I looked it up. And since this was in 1967, $25 back then is worth about $195, like in today's money.
Huh.
So like about $200. He's like, "Here's like $200, be in this movie. We'll call it even."
With a title that she probably hates.
Right. I'm really confused because like all the stuff that is saying that she hates dudes, and yet at the same time, there's other stuff that says like she was like also at some points obsessed with Andy Warhol. So I don't know if it was like an attraction thing or a love thing or what.
Or finally like meeting a man that like isn't a John or like hitting her.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Almost like some weird Stockholm syndrome or something. Like, I don't know. Like
you're not abusing me?
Well, maybe not Stockholm syndrome.
I mean, there's probably also a name for that. Like, yeah, the whole thing of like, "Oh man, you're being nice to me. I love you," because no guy's ever been nice to me before. Maybe. Yeah. I don't. I'm sure I could read more into it, but I just hadn't. I didn't have time to get into it. But that was one thing that like in my brain, I was like, "What the hell is going on here?" So she's in that film. They have the preview for it. They show it. Friends and people that are around them say that they seem to be friendly to each other, and they were relaxed around each other. She kind of knows him now, so she's like. I wouldn't say she's in his circle, but she's like known to him. Kind of around the same time, maybe a little bit after that, she signs an informal contract with this dude who kind of like lives in the same apartment building as her. And his name is Maurice Gyro Diaz. I'm messing up his last name, but his first name is Maurice. He's the founder of Olympia Press, which is like a publishing company, I guess. And like, I guess he takes an interest in her writing, and he says that he wants to give her an advance of like $500, which is like, it's like $3,890 today.
Ooh,
wow.
And he says that like, "Hey, you know, I want you to give me your next piece that you write and a couple other things, and here's some money." And so she signed that contract, but then at some point, I don't know if she's like looking back over it or whatever, but like she got it in her head that like he was trying to like fuck her over. Like she was like, he's gonna steal my work, and he's like trying to own all my stuff. And basically she's quoted as saying like, everything I write will be his. He screwed me. Like, so she's like paranoid that he's trying to steal her work
because he's a man,
I guess. And so then she somehow like in her head comes up with a theory that this guy and Andy Warhol are in cahoots, and they're trying to steal her work because of the fact that script that she gave Andy Warhol, he never gave back to her. So she's like,
he probably read it, was just like, this is a dumpster fire and belongs in a dumpster fire, and found like some homeless people having a dumpster fire, was just like, here's some fuel for it. Stay warm. Goodbye.
Well, so she gets in her head that like he didn't lose it, he kept it from her, and he's lying to her, and they're in cahoots, and they're trying to screw her over. So that's what's in her head. So she's freaking out about it. Gosh. So she starts calling his office like repeatedly with like threats and demands, and eventually he like stops answering her phone calls. He's just like, this bitch be crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is like fair, right?
Yeah.
Especially if you're like a celebrity, because at this point Andy Warhol is already a celebrity. Like he's like super famous. He's had the factory. He's all these celebrities like hitting him up for like commissions and stuff. And then eventually he ends up moving his office from Midtown up to another location, like in a fancier part of town, like in a more upscale part of town. Ooh. So on June 3rd, 1968, Valerie, she like runs around New York, like trying to hand out copies of that script, that play that she wants to get produced. Mm-hmm. Which, oh yeah, it's called Up Your Ass. Just had to say that up again. Okay. She goes to a couple places that day, but she meets with an actress named Margot Eden, and asks her to produce the play. And Margot's like, nah, I'm good. And like she sits there for like 4 hours with this lady trying to convince her to like produce this play. Gosh. And she's like, no, or like, really, I'm good. So then like Valerie pulls out a gun and threatens the actress with the gun.
What?
And is like, you need to produce my play. And the actress still refuses because I guess she just has balls. I just don't, how do you like, not even to say like, yeah, man, sure, whatever, and just agree to it, and so she'll go away. She just still like refuses. She's just like, no. So Solanas says, and this is like a quote, yes, you will produce the play because I'll shoot Andy Warhol and that'll make me famous and the play famous, and then you'll produce it. So then she like drops a copy of the play like off with Margot, and then she like leaves. So Margot Eden, that actress, she's like, oh fuck. And so she starts calling the police, and she's trying to warn them like, hey, there's this crazy bitch, she has a gun, I saw the gun, she's about to go and like shoot Andy Warhol, she's fucking on the way to do it. And the police are like, yo bitch, you crazy, like how do you
you're a woman, you're hysterical.
That's exactly what they pretty much told her, because they're just like, well, first of all, they were like, well, we can't act on the suspicion of a crime about to be committed. And then one police guy, like, they're not taking her seriously. And then one guy even said, listen, lady, how would you know what a real gun looked like? Like, they didn't trust her to even know what a gun looked like. How insulting. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like,
I know. God.
That part pissed me off. Okay.
I'm so frustrated about that because, like, my mom taught me how to use guns. Like, she took us out into pastures and up into the, like, at one point we had some land up in Oklahoma, and she'd teach us gun safety and like how to use a pistol, like proper form, how to stand and everything. Like,
yeah, but like, I feel like if look, I don't know. That just pissed me off. Okay. Yeah. So Andy,
sexist bastards.
This is the 60s though, but you know, still. So
yeah.
So Warhol's in his new office. It's located at 33 Union Square West. Valerie Solanas goes down to the studio, and she runs into Paul Morrissey. So he's like a film director, and he was like a regular at like the factory, and like he's just like one of the dudes that like in the crew that like could hang out with Andy Warhol like all the time. And she tells him, I'm here to get some money from Andy Warhol. Like he's gonna give me some money. And Morrissey's like, hey, he's not going to be in today, so you should probably like just leave. But she's like, no, I'm gonna go ahead and wait for him. So she like crazy sauce waits in the elevator and rides it up and down until Andy Warhol shows up. Yeah.
Oh my God.
So Andy Warhol ends up walking into the studio with Valerie, and he like walks in, and as he's walking in, he like compliments her on her appearance because like she was wearing makeup that day, which she normally didn't wear makeup on a day-to-day basis. So he like compliments on how good she looks that day. So then Paul Morrissey sees her come into the studio, and he's like, "What the fuck are you still doing here?" He threatens to, and this is a quote, beat the hell out of her and throw her out if she doesn't leave on her own.
Oh, wow.
And so I don't know what happened. I don't know if Andy said that like she could stay or whatever, but like it ends up where Morrissey goes to the bathroom, and there was also another guy. There's always people like floating around like doing stuff at like the studios or whatever. So there's a bunch of people around. So Morrissey goes to the bathroom. There's this like dude named May, I think is his last name, but he's like a London gallery owner that's there to meet with Andy Warhol that day. And there's also some other people like doing other work in the studio at that time. So Morrissey goes to the bathroom. Warhol turns around to answer the phone, and the gallery owner turns around to light a cigarette, and he hears gunshots.
What?
Yeah. So Valerie opens fire with a .32 caliber Beretta, which I believe is a semi-automatic.
Oh my gosh.
So Amay, the gallery owner, thought it was a sniper, and he yells, "Hit the floor," before he realizes that she's actually the shooter in the building. So she shoots at Andy Warhol, but she misses. And so he like dives underneath his desk, and he ends up like hitting his head on the way down. And then so she like follows him around the desk, and she like shoots him at close range. And then she turns and takes a couple of shots at Amaya, and like she shoots him, but he like runs out and like manages to escape. And then she like just turns around and like walks out.
Like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah. So this dude, Billy Name, like Name is his last name. He had, I know it's confusing. Billy Name had been working in a dark room, and he came out to find Andy Warhol like lying on the floor. He's quoted as saying, "Andy was lying there in a pool of blood. I went to him and took him up in my arms and started crying." He's like bleeding, like he's just like bleeding on the ground. And Andy Warhol thought Billy was laughing and not crying.
Oh my god.
And Warhol said to him, "Oh, Billy, don't make me laugh. It hurts too much." And so like the ambulance arrived 20 minutes later, and by the time he gets there, Andy Warhol is unconscious. And he is pronounced dead on arrival at 4:51 p.m.
Wow.
But wait, there's more.
Oh no.
But wait, there's more. ShamWow.
So the doctors at the ER couldn't find a pulse. He doesn't have any blood pressure. He's like got a gray-blue coloring. He looks like he's dead.
Oh my goodness.
There is a surgeon in the hospital at the time. He's a private practice surgeon, but he was there checking up on somebody, one of his patients that was in the ICU. And he his name is Giuseppe Rossi. And I think they said he was like an Italian immigrant, or he was from somewhere, but there was like some, and I think usually he wouldn't be able to practice, but there was like some new law or something that said he could get training, and then like
they grandfathered him in.
I guess because I think he'd been a doctor in Italy, and then like he was able to somehow like practice here, which was cool. He hears over the intercom that they're asking for help for a gunshot victim in the ER, and so he runs down there to see if there's anything he can do. And the doctors in the ER are giving him the rundown on what's going on, like how Andy Warhol came in, like what's going on, no blood pressure, this and that. And while they're doing that, he's doing his own inspection of like the body. And he didn't know who it was at the time. He thought it was just some dude from like that part of town. Mm-hmm. So he lifts up one of Andy Warhol's eyelids, and he sees the pupil reacting to the light. Ooh. And so he's like, oh, he's still alive. But he's like in deep shock. And that's why, that's why he looks like he's dead. So he's wounded on his right side about midway down his chest. And the bullet went like straight through. Oh. So this dude is like, we got to hurry up and like act quick, or this dude's going to die. So like without washing his hands, because it usually took 5 minutes to wash your hands, he starts like doing surgery on this dude. And so like, I hope you guys don't mind like gross medical details, because I was going to get into some of it. All right.
Yeah.
If you don't like gross medical details, skip forward a bit.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah. Trigger warning.
Okay. So I'm going to get into it. Some of the details, not all the details, because there was more. And I was like, I'm just going to leave like some of this out. Okay, so he's wounded on the right side about midway down his chest. They install a chest tube because he has a collapsed right lung, and they also put like a breathing tube in him, and then they like rush him down to the operating room. And so this dude's like operating on him, and at one point he actually goes into cardiac arrest, and Rosie, without like skipping a beat, like cuts open the sac around the heart and just starts like massaging his heart like manually to like bring him back. Yeah. So
badass.
All that, they ended up having to remove part of his spleen and his liver. By the end of the operation, he had received 12 units of blood, and the average body without like leaks normally holds 10.
Oh
so
my God.
They went through like all of his body's blood and just like fucking replaced all of it.
Wow.
So Andy Warhol spends 2 months in the hospital undergoing various surgeries, and he has to wear a surgical corset for the rest of his life to hold his organs in place.
Oh my God.
What?
And like, since there's theories on like why he did it, but the surgeon like patched him up like really roughly, like big stitches, and it's like either he was just like trying to rush for time, or he didn't think that the patient was going to make it. So Andy Warhol for the rest of his life has like these big like Frankenstein looking like scars like all up on his chest, and there's like pictures of him you can like look up where he's got his shirt up and he's got like all these like gnarly looking scars. Yeah. So Andy Warhol makes it. He's not dead.
Oh my gosh.
But they declared him dead. Like he was dead for a minute, or they thought he was.
Well, she did accomplish it. Like he did die.
Yeah, and like honestly, if that guy hadn't been there in that hospital, that crazy talented surgeon to like save his life, he would have died. It was like a fucking miracle. So, several hours after the shooting, Solanas turns herself in. Like she goes up to a cop in Times Square, and she hands him like that semi-automatic and also like a 22 caliber like revolver.
Wow.
And she's quoted as saying, "He had too much control over my life."
Okay.
She writes to him later. She wrote him a letter, and it's as he's recovering, and it says, this is a quote from her from the letter: "I'm very happy you're alive and well. As for all your barbarism, you're still the best person to make movies with, and if you treat me fairly, I'd like to work with you." So after she like almost kills this dude, she's like, I want to work with you. So Andy Warhol
Do you like me? Check yes or no.
Right. This bitch is crazy. So Andy Warhol actually says he's not going to press charges. Like he doesn't want to press charges against her, but the district attorney decides to go ahead and prosecute her anyway. So she undergoes psychiatric evaluations. She's diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia, but they still decide to like put her on trial. So she pleads guilty to assault, not attempted murder.
Right. Yeah. I feel like that would have been the call to make.
Technically, you could probably charge her for murder.
I mean, yeah, he did die.
Yeah, and there's record of her planning it, so she could go in for murder one.
Right, because it was premeditated. She told that other lady, and like, I don't understand what's happening here in the 60s in New York. I'm like, how the hell did she not go in for like attempted murder at the very least? Not to mention like 2 counts, because she shot that other dude too.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
It is the 60s in New York.
Crazy times, man. So
drugs.
She pleads guilty to assault, and she's sentenced to 3 years, including time served. And she's released in 1971.
Oh.
She's quoted as saying, "I didn't intend to kill him. I just wanted him to pay attention to me."
Oh my God. That's some like, what is it? The overly attached girlfriend?
Yeah. But that's why I'm like confused, because I'm just like, she is an open lesbian. She claims to hate men. Is this a thing where she wanted him as a lover, or what's going on there? Like, I'm gonna have to, like, there's books and there's movies and all kinds of stuff on it and newspaper clippings and stuff, and I'm gonna have to go deep dive in here, because I need to know more. I need to know the juicy details. This is the kind of shit that like I'm just like, ooh, like I get into. So Andy Warhol is quoted as saying later, like, guns are so quick. He says a person comes up with a gun, there's no time to think.
Mm-hmm.
So like the whole thing had like just shocked him. So you remember how he like lost that copy of her play?
Mm-hmm.
They found it later. It was in the bottom of the trunk. Like he had it. He just like tossed it somewhere, and it was like lost in his messy ass studio. And like he wasn't trying to steal anything from her. She was just crazy. So this actually, I didn't type it up, but I think I remember enough of it. It actually fucked with his head a lot. Like he didn't like hospitals to like begin with.
Mm-hmm.
And this made him even more hesitant because he had to stay in the hospital for a long time after this. So it made him even more hesitant to go to the hospital, and it actually ended up kind of like in an indirect way causing his death later, because there was like a surgery he was supposed to go into to get, like, I think they said it was a gallbladder surgery, but he put it off for so long that by the time he got it, I think he had a heart attack and died shortly after while he was recovering, because he had put the surgery off for so long. So in a way, this actually led to him dying probably prematurely, just because this gave him even more of a fear of hospitals, which is fair.
Yeah.
As for Valerie Solanas, what I found about her afterwards was basically like she continued to get more paranoid throughout her life, and she ended up like living alone, and she died like a year after Andy Warhol died. Like that's like the end of her story.
Oh man.
But did you guys know that Andy Warhol had been shot?
No, I did not know that.
I had no idea. They don't cover that in art history class.
No, art history would be so much cooler if they like revealed these kinds of facts and be like, Andy Warhol got shot. This dude Caravaggio did a bunch of weird shit,
including murder.
Murder.
Hey, did you know that this painting got stolen and then burned in a fire?
Why did they leave this shit out? Like,
I don't know.
just like so upset. But like, yeah, this was, you know, I'm sure I know there's crazy stories that come out of like the time with Andy Warhol and shit, but like this was too crazy for me. Not crazy my last story, but
Still crazy.
yeah, like for a minute when I was researching, I was like, holy shit, was Andy Warhol murdered and I never knew about it? Like I thought that
Right. Yeah, that's like what I was thinking this whole time too. I was like, holy shit, I never knew.
Yeah. Close though.
Yeah.
Yep, so that's my art murder story. It's more of an attempted murder, but technically he died, so I thought it counted.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, maybe now is a good time to get into what everybody's been up to this week.
So, October surprised me. And then so I ended up scrambling to start a drawing challenge for October, because I kept saying that that's what I want to do. And so I think we picked out what was it? Darktober, which is like spooky themed daily drawing prompts. So I did a couple of those. I think what it was today. Yeah. The third. So yeah, I've got another one to do today.
Same.
And I've been reorganizing my office. I finally put my foot down and I was like, I have to have this as my creative space, and I have to have another space to work from home, since this working from home situation doesn't seem to be going away anytime soon. So I bought parts and built a new computer, a shiny new rainbow awesome computer.
Yeah.
And I moved all the old bits to another room in the house. So I hope and I think that's gonna help me a lot. I've just gotta, I don't know, I'm gonna have to like fucking burn sage or something in this room to fucking cleanse all the bad like work energy from it, you know, just to get like it back to like a creative like space. I'm joking about burning sage. I'm not gonna do that, but I'm just saying I've got to do something to like maybe just sit in this room and paint for a long time.
Do it.
But yeah, that's what I've been up to.
Yeah, so I did all three of my my Darktober drawings today, because I kept meaning to sit down and do them throughout the week, but October also snuck up on me. I also just decorated for Halloween.
Nice.
And so I did that, and I know I texted you guys about it in the group chat, but if I'm gonna get through Darktober, if I'm gonna do all of it, it's just gonna have to be quick stuff. Like because I feel like if I put that much energy into it, it's gonna burn me out so fast, So if anything, but it was nice though, because today is actually the first day I've drawn in a couple of weeks. I kind of went through kind of an art block there for a little bit, which happens to me a lot. So it was nice to kind of be drawing anything in the in the last couple of weeks. So
Nice.
yeah, it was nice. It was nice to like get the wrist loose, as it were.
Good. Yeah. I am also doing Darktober with y'all. Surprise. And I'm really enjoying doing just like the quick, like reading the prompt and whatever pops in my head, like quickly, and just like taking the pen and doing that real fast and just being like, if it comes out crap, it comes out crap. If it comes out good, cool, fine, whatever. So I'm having a lot of fun with that kind of train of thought. It's been enjoyable. I'm still working on my book and doing a lot of work stuff. That work's been eating up a lot of time for me because it's been so much physical labor. I just get home and lay on the floor.
Aww.
Like yesterday I got home and just like did some yoga and just kind of like collapsed on my belly on a pillow and just kind of laid there for a little bit. And my brother came in, was like, "Hey, welcome home." He's like, "God, I thought you were dead." I'm like, "No, not dead. Not dead." But yeah, later today, I'm going to do the day 3 thing. Probably play some video games. I'm going to make a cake later today because it's my brother's girlfriend's birthday today, and she wants an Italian cream cake. So after we get done here, I'm going to go home, make an Italian cream cake for her.
Yay!
Yeah. But I don't know if she'll be home for it, but she'll be able to enjoy it tomorrow. I know for sure.
I love decorating cakes. I'm not very good at it, but I love to do it. It's so fun.
I love watching people decorate cakes and all that, because whenever I lived in downtown Plano on the corner, there used to be a bakery there.
I remember.
Yeah. And I would like, at the time I was working breakfast. So like after I got home, I would take a short nap and then I would go and hang out there until they closed about like 4 or 5 o'clock and just hang out with the bakers and the decorators and watch them decorate cakes and shoot the shit.
That'd be so cool.
Yeah. I miss that place. It was so much fun.
Well, all right. I guess that's it. Good podcast. This is an awesome surprise.
Maybe.
Yeah, I thought you'd like it.
Yeah. Super rad. It was an awesome topic. I can't wait to hear this episode.
Yeah.